Hey everybody, it's Paul from Screenwriting Mentor. Today, we're going to do something unique. I'm going to give this a try. So I'm going to try to create a short film, 10 pages, a complete story in under an hour. Well, that's going to be a plan, and I'm going to use just ChatGPT to help as a tool to increase my imagination, to increase my speed and efficiency. So I'm going to see if it's possible. I recently just put out a video talking about how ChatGPT helps make the writing process quicker. So we're going to put that to the test today. Can I do this in an hour? We'll find out. So we're starting today at 1:50. Here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's look for some ideas for what is, so I'll ask it, what are some good ideas for a short 10-page screenplay? Let's see. I'm going to tell it I want it to use a specific information. So if I'm going to make this into, actually, I might turn this into a short film. So I'm going to ask it to not have so much stuff with it. So let's give this a try and see what it says. Well, it's actually writing me all the stuff that I need. Interesting. Okay, so I asked it for some ideas, and it gave me one pretty good one, I think, so far. So what I asked ChatGPT to do, so it's interesting. So I wrote in, what are some good ideas for a short, what are some good ideas? And it gave me one idea for a short 10-page screenplay focused on a murder mystery. There was only one character in the film. So it's interesting, I was able to limit its sort of scope. So I'm writing a short film. I'm going to be using a church. I wanted to have only 3 props that I could find either at Target or a grocery store. So let's take a look and see what ChatGPT said. Let's see. The logline: when a solitary church custodian receives a mysterious phone call about a murder within the church, he embarks on a suspenseful journey to uncover the truth before time runs out. So let's take a look. So in Act 1, we're introduced to James, a middle-aged man who takes his job seriously but leads a lonely life. Establish the setting in the church and James's routine. In 2, James discovers an anonymous note slipped under the door informing him about a recent murder that occurred within the church. Suspicion arises as he realizes the church is empty. I wonder why it's his suspicion. Let's see. So a series of phone calls from different characters, each providing cryptic clues about the murder. The phone calls create tension and increases James' curiosity. James explores the dark basement of the church, searching for evidence. He finds a blood-stained cloth hidden beneath a stack of old boxes, intensifying his determination to solve the mystery. As James continues his investigation, he stumbles upon an unlocked storage room. Inside, he finds a hidden compartment containing a hidden camera and a stack of disturbing photos. James receives a final phone call revealing the identity of the murderer and their motive. The caller warns James that he is running out of time. So James confronts the murderer, who is hiding in the church all along. A suspenseful chase ensues as James tries to escape while being pursued by the killer. So it's interesting they have you climb up the bell tower, narrowly escaping the killer's clutches. From the top, he calls the police and provides them with the necessary information to apprehend the murderer. So the cool thing too, so it's one solitary, so it's basically fulfilling everything I want. And as I look at this, so the props, it's a note, a bloodstained cloth, which will be easy enough to make. You could just use a cloth with some ketchup on it. You could use, instead of a hidden camera and photos, you could just use a phone or an iPad or something along those lines that reveals that. Characters, you can have different people call, or you could just do one person that calls and then to sort of figure out the murderer. Okay, so we can create some of these scenes in Final Draft. So the one thing I don't know as we're doing this is I don't know if Final Draft I can just copy and paste stuff. So this, see if all right, so let's just see if I can add. Oh, cool. So that wasn't too hard. So, all right. Let's see how I like this so far as we read through it. So we're going to breeze through this next part. I'm going to really condense down the rest of the time it took to do this particular script. So you're going to see it over the next 5 minutes. All this stuff that took me about 45 minutes. I think it was 48 minutes to get us to where we're at in the script as we are right now. Some key things I noticed during this was the hard part for me as I was sort of under the gun for this, trying to get the script done. If you'll notice, I'm going to start backing up into problems to say, okay, so who is Elizabeth? What does she know about Reverend Daniels? Who is the murderer? So one thing I noticed doing this particular process was I didn't do my normal outline process. I didn't. Traditionally, when I write a screenplay, I normally have the end in mind and then work my way backward. I've been noticing that as I'm working with ChatGPT, I just sort of it sort of builds on itself. It's one thing right after the other thing. I don't feel like, I do have a solid game plan in that ChatGPT gave me a solid outline to work with. What I tend to sort of write as well too is sort of, I know the ending in mind, and this one I don't know the ending so much. I haven't really thought about it. What I've been doing is just going on to the next part of the ChatGPT suggestion. I've been going through its script, its scenes and stuff like that, saying, okay, so how do we make this scene? How do we make this scene? And as I go through, and again, I'll touch on this at the end, it is pretty bland, pretty soulless, but it does a good job of sort of working you through each piece as you take it. So as you take Act 1, you can do this piece and then move on to Act 2, and you know this piece and this. So you have a roadmap, which I think is very helpful as you're using ChatGPT. I don't know why I have such a hard time saying ChatGPT. So as I look at ChatGPT, it really has changed sort of the way I write when I use that. It's very much forward-facing in that I go from the beginning to the end. And a lot of times I go with the end in mind and I add things in. Knowing the end in mind, I put stuff in sprinkle stuff in as I write. And so this has been a little different for me, and it might be a little different for you as you write, depending on what your writing style is. But that's sort of something I've noticed is just doing this writing piece as of right now. Honestly, I didn't feel stuck very much. I think the only time I felt stuck was when I said, well, I had to go with ChatGPT, because that's what sort of this thought experiment it was. As I've been looking at how the script is sort of forming up, I've noticed things that I've really liked about it and things I want to change. Again, as I say in the end of the video, there needs to be, I think it's a little too simplistic. I wonder if we could make some of these characters a little bit more interesting. And I think that would make the whole script more interesting as well too. But what I really like about this is just the ease and quickness that we are able to push out a script. We're going to have a script that I'm actually excited about filming. I normally don't do a lot of filming for just in general. I like writing for film. I don't like to make a lot of films, but this one, it seems really easy, really quick to do. And so I might give it a try, see what happens. The worst thing it's going to do is it doesn't turn out well, but it's been fun doing it this way. I feel like there's a little bit of excitement going through this. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? Well, what's going to tell me next? It helps me sort of unfold that mystery. So I've really enjoyed doing this process. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing how easy it is to just keep putting in prompts, talking about different things. And that's all I've been doing during this time as you're listening to my voices. I'm asking it questions. I'm saying, hey, can you expand these scenes out for me? Or give me a scene, tell me the scenes that would incorporate this action. Or give me, like I said, I had a couple scenes of tell me what the scene looks like that Elizabeth talks to James, the custodian. Tell me about how James knows that this is Reverend Dean's box that he found the bloody cloth in. And it goes through, and it's pretty logical. And I even asked it, you might be asking, well, why didn't she just call the police? And I typed that in and I said, hey, why wouldn't she call the police? And it gives you a bunch of different reasons why. And they're pretty plausible and stuff like that. I think I'm going to change some of those reasons. But what it does overall is it helps me create a story, one that I think will be entertaining. We're at 2:48 right now. You can see. So in about an hour, I've created 8 pages of script. Now, like I said, it's not the best script in the world, but you can see how that helped with our writing. We've went from an idea to crafting the scenes, and you can see how ChatGPT has helped us go from piece to piece to piece in terms of figuring out what the scenes look like, what the motivations for the characters are like. I could ask each of the I could also ask ChatGPT to tell me what the characters look like as well too. I told it I just wanted a couple props, 3 props. And so what we're going to end up doing here is I'm going to keep working on it. But like I said, you can see that it's within just an hour, I've already completed 8 pages, well on the way to it's probably going to be a little bit longer than 8 pages. But what I will do is I'm going to continue to work on this and give you an update and hopefully have a finished product for you too, to watch and to see what it looks like from a script from ChatGPT. I'm going to edit some stuff, and we'll talk about how to use ChatGPT in the next video on how to do screenwriting edits or how to rewrite certain passages of this. Because like I said, it's very generic right now. I think it'd be better if we talked a little bit more about the backgrounds for James, Elizabeth, and Reverend Daniel. But like I said, just coming up with a initial script, you can see how fast we're going. We're flying through this. It's just been an hour right now. And we're at 8 pages. We sort of know where we're still going. And, probably within 3 hours, we could have a nice finished draft. So, well, until the next video, live well and write well.